about environmental justice and affordability, and so I work with the George Wiley Center in Pawtucket, and so you probably know about like the shut-off crisis facing Rhode Islanders, and how a really important part of the Green New Deal is going to be making sure that that transition is just and affordable, and thinking about legislation that already exists. There's a bill called PIP, Percentage Income Payment Plan, to restructure the, maybe you guys already know about it, so I guess my question is kind of, these pieces of legislation that some groups have already submitted and that have kind of been stalemating in the General Assembly, are you guys committed to kind of supporting these types of pieces of legislation?
I think that's a big part of it. I think there is a lot of good legislation that's already out there, that's already been proposed and is just sitting stagnant, waiting for somebody to hear them, waiting for somebody to really push for those. And if we can get enough people out there to really be advocating for those and to make those a priority, we have a much better chance of getting that type of legislation forward. Yeah. So it's a matter of priorities, and when our legislators are submitting so many different bills and then asked to select which ones they want to prioritize that year. And so as a cooperative, we all have very similar goals, and so if we can prioritize some of those things that are most important to us, then we can, as a group, come together and say this is important and we need to really bring this forward. I think that will carry a lot more weight as opposed to one representative really trying to push something forward, having an entire cooperative doing that.
Yeah, thank you for the work at the George Wiley Center, by the way. I mean, I think we can all agree that that is a really great organization. And I'll also say that PIP is absolutely consistent with the way that the co-op thinks about a Green New Deal and a just transition for low-income communities and communities of color. And the shut-off crisis is a big part of our climate change crisis. This is a big part of energy injustice and environmental racism. And I'll also say, just in response, just to sort of add on to a little bit of the specific policies that we're pushing for, in terms of environmental stuff, I think one of the most important things that I hear the candidates always talking about in order to actually address the climate crisis is campaign finance reform, because one of the big reasons that people are not addressing it right now, and our state legislatures are not addressing it right now, is because they're listening to fossil fuel companies and they're taking money from them. And so campaign finance reform is really at the heart of a lot of what's wrong with our current system, and we see it as entirely intersectional with a Green New Deal and the climate crisis generally.